Hey, Keith Thurman, after you have your welcome back fight, you kind of alluded to it, but what would you say would be the biggest fight for you at the welterweight division, you know, when you're ready, you feel 100%, and who do you feel will be like your toughest competition, your Sugar Ray Leonard, your Hagler type of opponent?
Well, one thing that I was very excited about, roughly somewhere about maybe 2 years ago, or maybe even a year ago, was the undefeated champions at welterweight. You know, Kell Brook got beat by Triple G. That messed up everything. He was still an undefeated welterweight. I kept saying that until Errol really put that L in his backpack for him. So now he walks around with that. We had Danny Garcia as an undefeated welterweight. I handled that. So we're running out of undefeated welterweights. There's great competition, hands down, in the welterweight division. But, you know, like I said, ain't nobody thinking about that Jeff Horn boy, you know. But EJ and myself, you know, to me, we're the only real dogs left. So when we get in, when we get in the ring together, you know, it should be elevated, and the stakes that are on the line, what it means for the welterweight division. You know, real talk, everybody knows there's no Floyd Mayweather. Real talk, everybody knows there's no Manny Pacquiao. Real talk, everybody thinks they know who the real champion is. But real talk is, the king of the welterweight division will manifest within 1 to 2 years. That's real talk. And it happens by unifying these belts, which is not a crazy leap. You know, it's not something that we cannot achieve. It's tangible. You can reach out and grab it. You know, we can make these fights happen. So for me, I'm excited to be at the top. This is my dream. I remember when I was young, we used to be on before Facebook. What was MySpace, right? Remember that, right? It was MySpace. I'm old enough to act like we got to go back in time to remember things now. But MySpace, I put up on my little headliner. At first, I had some dirty stuff that I had to take down, but I had to do something that maybe that Mama could appreciate. So I put "Living a Dream." I remember living a dream, because my life was boxing, and boxing is my dream, and I get to live it, and now I'm champion. But I wanted 1 belt. I want 2 belts. I want 3 belts. I want to be the best welterweight in the welterweight division. The welterweight division has immense history, tremendous history, and I'm just doing my best to be a part of that history.
Real talk, Stephen, please. And I guess Lou or even Keith can chime in if he wants. Sorry, I actually really liked the phrase "real talk." That wasn't satire at all. But real talk, though, it felt like there was a great opportunity after Errol beat Kell Brook overseas, because obviously England's crazier about boxing than America is, unfortunately, but hashtag real talk, to give this welterweight division, which is deep, and as Keith mentioned at the top, we really don't know who #1 is right now, and it's not Horn or Pacquiao for sure. To give this division sort of the prestige it deserves, to find out who's #1, to make Errol and Keith global figures, but Keith is hurt, and for whatever reason Errol was inactive thereafter. What's the plan to regain that momentum, or to elevate the division to where it should be, where you have guys now? I mean, it's great for Keith to say that in 1 or 2 years we'll find out who the king is, and that may or may not be accurate, but that's definitely not a great tagline for a fight. Find out in 1 or 2 years who's going to be the king. So, you know, how do you get back to that place where you have that huge crowd in Sheffield cheering for Errol because he beat Kell, and maybe it's not there, but getting that momentum to this division?
Well, you're overlooking one piece of it.
Probably more than that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and the fact is, what you skipped over was, you know, Keith fighting on CBS before an audience that Keith did, well over 5 million people. And Keith can tell you personally, you know, what the impact of that fight has been on his career. So the reality, we might be sitting here instead of Deontay headlining in a couple weeks. You know, if not for the injury, that might have been Keith and Errol. But the good thing is these guys are young guys, and everything in due time. You know, the great thing is people have forgotten about, you know, Danny and Sean. You know, and it's not great that they've forgotten, but it's great that they're still there. And
The idea is that they are there, but people are forgetting. Like Keith had a great fight on CBS, he just got injured, and that's that. It's the forgetting. Obviously, the quality's there. I know that. That's sort of the premise of the question.
Right. No, and they will get back in. When we set upon this thing, and this started 2 years ago, the idea is this was going to be a round robin. You know, if Errol ends up fighting Danny Garcia, no one cares that Danny Garcia's got one loss. You know, and I think people are comparing it to, you know, Floyd Mayweather status. It's going to be a while before someone gets Floyd Mayweather status or Manny Pacquiao status. Once in a generation. But you are looking at the young stars in boxing. And it's up to you guys to remind people of that. Yes, Floyd's retired, Manny's essentially.
Can I just throw
semi-retired.
one thing in? Besides
Sure.
it being upon the media to sort of accurately reflect the quality of the division and I guess the star status of these guys, part of the thing that made me mention Brook versus Spence instead of Keith, whose fights against Porter and Garcia are obviously equally noteworthy, is that England, and you can point to a lot of overseas places, those are big markets for boxing, and when you make international fights, and Floyd just did this with McGregor, and yeah, there's the UFC aspect and the racial aspect, but at the end of the day, when you take someone from overseas who's got a huge following and put them against someone from the States, it adds something to a fight. Now, I'm not saying you want to do something gimmicky like Horn versus Pacquiao, but I guess my point is, as great as something is on CBS, you know, Floyd really made his name, in a way, in a global sense, when he took on Haddon for the first time, and so I'm just thinking in those terms, and maybe that's unrealistic, you know, but...
Well, who in the welterweight division, Gabe?
That's the problem. I understand. I mean, I know how matchmaking works, so it's problematic. I
But
get
also
it.
to look at the round robin concept, he went over there and he beat Cal Brook.
Like, ideally, there's a Mexican at 147, then there isn't. But like, I hear you.
He beat Danny and he beat Porter, and he's been hurt. So like, you have had sort of the best fighting of the best. One other thing, I don't want to take, like, you know, look, the fact that boxing is you know, soccer and boxing, it's probably one, two in Great Britain, but I made this point before, I'm going to make it again. Those big global fights you keep talking about, those only happen when it's in the economic expediency of the British fighter. Because what they do and how they build their records over there is by fighting for the Commonwealth title and the British title and the UK title and like 85 different titles that are local, and they tend to be honestly very like sort of...
Yeah, I'm not saying to force something that's not really there. I'm
Right.
just...
Well, the other thing to think about, we realize it with the UK market, there are no professional sports there. I mean, other than soccer. You do not have professional basketball. You do not have professional...
I'm just saying make these guys global. It could be Britain. I mean, look, if they were an Australian who were legitimate as opposed to Jeff Horn, I'd say great, because obviously the Aussies went nuts and that was a huge thing. But
You think
that's all.
Jeff Horn's going near either one of these guys anyway?
No, of course not. And I wouldn't want to, and I don't give a, and I don't want to watch it, and I wouldn't want to see it.
Okay,
Hey,
Gabe,
guys.
we'll carry this on afterwards.